Hello, and welcome back to another Pen Talk. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for, enjoying my exploration of the wide world of pens. And yes, I've been in a buy no new pen mode for a while now, but I did buy a Parker IM, and I bought this pen. And how could I not buy this pen? Being a Pen BBS fanboy, when I saw this one initially with Biani's Instagram and the Facebook postings, I said, wow, what an amazing new resin used by Pen BBS. And they call it Lemon Sandwich Cookie. And it is a 456, the vac filler. And the number is 122. And it has a fine nib. Classic Pen BBS box, which I didn't really expect. You just slide off that sleeve and you get the generic box, nice magnetic closure. You open it up and you go, oh, look, something extra in here. Yes, I bought this from Easy Buy on Etsy, and I asked Sally to throw in a hung Dion wrench so I can take apart their piston filling pens. So now I have this wrench, thanks to Doug, who mentioned that Sally will send if you ask, and I did buy 2 hung Dions from her, but didn't ask for a wrench. So we have the classic 456 instructions for those that are not familiar with how the pen fills, and if you prefer your language of Chinese, it's in Chinese on the other side. The pen is secured with this little elastic wrap. It has a little plastic condom, slides out. Slide it out of the condom because we want to see this pen in all of its glory. And it is a this is a very glorious pen. I have to admit that it just looks much, much better than I expected, and I had high expectations. I love that white finial at the top of the cap, and it's replicated at the bottom. So that's a lot of machining and tolerances and making certain this resin and the layers in this resin. Is this a stacked resin? I think you could call it a stacked resin. Stacked celluloid. Parker Vacuumatics first started using this type of look, and now a lot of pen makers have expanded on it. And this is one of the more interesting ones where you have 3 colors, and the bands alternate between clear, white, a wide yellow, another thin white, and a clear, which is about twice the size of the white. I just think it's great. The cap unscrews in the classic, a little less than 1.5 turns, and we see a very beautiful 2-tone nib. For some reason, I thought this might have a more unique nib on it, at least some type of engraving on it, indicative of kind of the limited nature. And a number of 456s came out with this matte finish. Here's what's left on the Pen BBS website on Etsy. And this pen is still available from Easy Buy on Etsy as of today, which is the 30th of June of 2022. And that matte finish is replicated on all the metal parts. I don't know. I really like this pen a lot. And a few people I've showed it to have fallen in love with it, so it's probably will be in use by them when I'm done with their review. And they like fine nibs, and this is definitely that classic Pen BBS fine nib. So we're going to dive in a little bit on this pen because I think it's worth a full investigation. Stay tuned. So the pen was delivered in this just bubble wrap envelope, and the Pen BBS box was wrapped in bubble wrap. But this is interesting, different shipping, and it's USPS PS lightweight. I had not seen that before. Came from California based on this return address, but obviously it came from China and was rebagged and repackaged when it arrived and went through customs in the U.S. Etsy or Easy Buy has found a new way of shipping, and it worked quite well. I got the pen relatively quickly. So the pen obviously deserved its turn on the turntable. And while it's turning, some of you may go, gee, I want that pen, where can I find it? And I had mentioned that it's still available on Easy Buy on Etsy. Here's that listing. You may go to eBay and say, is it there? And you may do a Pen BBS 456 search and you may say, oh, look, there it is. But if you look at the listings, you'll see that it's sold out. And many of the listings, a lot of the models are sold out. So I have a feeling that this pen will be sold out quickly, made in limited amounts for whatever reason. There was a lot of disruption in China due to the virus, and a lot of manufacturing was shut down. Shanghai was shut down for a long time. So therefore, who knows how many are available or when they can remake them or how much resin was available in these rods for them to turn. So, grab it while you can. And that's my approach to pens. And if I don't happen to snag one, then so be it. That's the nature of the beast. So this one is certainly one worth a big shout out, a big, gee, this is a beautiful pen, a big, wow. Pen BBS has done it again without doing a lot of things radical, but just sticking with a tried and true 456 model and adding in a gold trim and some great acrylics. Hopefully you can get one if you're interested and enjoy it yourself. To those of you that follow my channel know I always like to flush and clean every pen I receive before I ink it up. And this type of vacuum filler, I'm not going to use the vacuum to do that. But the nib and feed pulled out very easily. I just use my fingers, no rubber gripper, nothing. And those that have a lot of Pen BBS pens realize that some of them we can never pull out the nib and feed. Others require a lot of effort, and some, like this one, pull out without any effort at all. So that was nice, and I was able to clean off the nib and feed. It's ready for inking. We are now in dark mode, or at least as dark as I can get my room at the middle of the day. So I think it's time to bring in the LED, just because I think it would play well with this amazing striped resin. I think it's unbelievable how they've machined it so there's a white finial, top of the cap and bottom of the barrel. Just very, very well done. A lot of engineering, design, controlled manufacturing, tolerances, etc. go into using this resin to produce this beautiful pen. And that matte finish is very matte. It's just nice. What more can I say? Well, I could say a lot more, but I think visuals are worth more than words, and I try to make certain my visuals are good and up to the level of quality that a pen like this deserves. As our dogs are barking in the background, they probably found some squirrel or chipmunk that's creating their attention. In preparing the pen for the eventual fill, unscrewing the blind cap showed something that is kind of typical. You have a little bit of plastic material there on those threads. Probably not the best fit, or maybe from when these threads were cut, there was a little bit of material left there which transferred onto these metal threads. But I'll just clean it off, and as I usually do, I'll put a little bit of silicone grease on those threads to reduce the friction between the plastic and the metal. One of the things that I noticed looking inside the barrel is how that machining, and there's that nice ledge that when you push the vacuum filler down and it goes past that ledge, it opens up, and that's what pulls up ink. The machining of that is done very, very well. The other thing I notice on this section is the end there is a white piece, And if we go to the other end of the section, it's also white. I'm just impressed with how they designed that machining to make that work. And I'm also going to silicone grease that O-ring and these threads, just because I like to do that. And I think it adds to the longevity of the pen, makes certain everything seals up well and lasts a very long time. While we're at it, let's see how good that close-up works on this matte finish on the clip. I think that's one of the better places to see it. And that matte finish is done on every piece of metal on this pen, which I think is excellent. Except obviously the piston rod, that's just a pure piece of stainless steel. Resists corrosion, unlike the 013s. So I'm ready to get this cleaned up for the inking. So yes, I will ink up the pen and show you it writing. But I use this ink, the number 1 in the series of inks I got from China recently. And we'll see it here as number 1. Yes, it's in the yellow family, on the border of the brown family. And filling from this bottle, you dip it in, but you got to be careful because when you push down on it, puts out a lot of air, and the ink was pretty full in this bottle, so it overflowed a bit, but not enough to bother the label or go anywhere else. I just took a little cleanup afterwards. And if you look at the pen, we got a pretty full fill. It's a little bit over 50%, I would say. I've not been successful with any efforts to get more than that in any of my vacuum fill pens. And really what you need is that vac fill device. I got a TWSBI one, and yeah, it works good, but then you got to clean that out. And I think that's, a good amount of ink in there, a good mil or so, as we look at it from different views. And with those clear stripes, you can definitely see the ink level, which makes it a good design. So now it's time for some editorial comments before we write with that Trommel ink. So basically, I'd put this pen up there with any other pen I own. As far as aesthetics, build, design, it's great. It's also unique. No other pen that I know of looks anywhere near like this. So that puts it in a whole nother ballpark. One which I really enjoy. And yes, it's still available as of the filming of this video. And Easy Buy is the only source on Etsy to buy the pen. Let's put some ink on paper and see how that two-tone fine nib writes with that Trommel ink. So overall, the ink works well in this pen, better than I expected. Lays down a nice line, and you can see how it's generous with the ink flow, but this is the most feedback I've ever had from a Pen BBS fine nib, especially the two-tone ones. Some micro meshes definitely indicated on this nib, but that's an easy thing to do, and it's easy to correct. I'll put a link into all my 456 videos, so if you want to see me taking apart the pen, cleaning the pen, all the other many 456s I have, please check out the playlist. So overall, I'm very happy to have this pen in my possession. I'll work on that nib. Not something I'm going to do now. You've seen me do that before. And I'm very comfortable that I'll get this nib as smooth as I want it to be. So we've come to the conclusion of this video. Thank all of you for watching. I hope this video finds you safe, healthy, and happy, enjoying your pens. Oof. Finding one that makes you excited as this one makes me excited, as you can tell. Put some ink on paper. Put those thoughts down to share, read later, doodle, draw, sketch. Just use your pens and use your inks. We've reached the end of this video. And the nib is smoothing out just on this little writing sample. So one of the things to keep in mind is write a few pages with any new pen that you get before you decide on what you're going to do with the nib. That's my recommendation of the day. We're going to say bye. Until the next video. I like that color.